Greetings. So I want to talk about in this video about how starting and pretty much failing or being unsuccessful in the mushroom business in about 10 months, and just about things I've learned, some of the mistakes I believe I made, and just looking at my results and how it could possibly help you so you don't make the same mistakes and don't do the same things I've done. So I put about $5,000 into growing mushrooms, with all the equipment and stuff. Um, and I've grossed in over this 10 months about $1,000. So I've only made a fifth of my money back. And let me be clear, that $5,000 does not include my time, because it would be a much more greater investment if I actually calculated my time and was paying myself, a minimal $20 an hour. So please keep that in mind also, because we always have to count our time. I'm not going to do it on this, but I just want you to keep that in mind. So basically what I've noticed with mushrooms in general, for me, where I live at in East Alabama, is most people are just infatuated with the idea of mushrooms. They are not really trying or attempting, and this is, we're not blaming people, I'm just telling you my results. They are not really looking to incorporate mushrooms into their diet weekly or bi-weekly, or I don't even know if even monthly at this point. So yeah, it may be a one-off type thing where they'll buy once every couple months, but it's hard based on my perspective to even get people to buy mushrooms from you consistently, and that's even with friends and neighbors and people in the community, let alone random customers. So I just think people are really infatuated with the idea. Another thing, and with the idea of it, and not really purchasing it and incorporating in their diet regularly. Another thing I've noticed, that most people, when I was at the farmers market, I did a farmers market here for about 2 months weekly. And what I realized talking to a lot of people is, when you're selling oyster mushrooms, lime main mushrooms, and other higher end mushrooms, people can only compare this to portobellos. And unfortunately, I don't think highly of portobello mushrooms. They don't have as much nutrients, and I don't think the taste is there, and I don't think there's a very limited things you can do with portobellos, in my mind, compared to oysters or lion's mane or any other type of mushroom. So when people are comparing it to that, I think it's a low value comparison if you've never had oyster mushrooms or lion's mane or any other type of higher end mushrooms, because I think the palate is much greater and the nutritional value is much greater. So a lot of people, they're comparing it to me to the wrong thing. So it does not motivate them, in my mind, to try to buy other type of higher end mushrooms. So let's talk about the farmers market. So I had another farmers market back in like March. She reached out to me, the owner, and she told me how she wanted to do business with me, come there every Saturday. Pretty big farmers market in the capital. And so I ramped up all my production based off what she told me. Bought a whole bunch of spine, got everything ready, gave her all my paperwork. She wanted to see my license and all that type of stuff. So gave her a sample. I went and looked at the farmer's market. She showed me in the refrigerator where we could put them at, all the things. And then after I ramped up all my production, spent all this money, never heard from her again. So that was pretty defeating, very disappointing. And that's another thing I don't understand about the mushroom business is and dealing with restaurants. People are just not, to me, straightforward. If you don't want to do something, just say it, but don't tell me you want to do something and then don't do it. Uh, then going to restaurants, that was a very defeating moment, because I lost a lot of money ramping up my production. So it took me a minute to mentally get out of that hole. So then after that, I started DMing restaurants on Instagram. I started calling restaurants, never really getting a response. No response really at all. Then I sent out a batch of letters, and I finally did get one response from one restaurant who was interested in getting some Princess Pearl mushrooms. I did that grow for them, trying to expand it. Then unfortunately I went out of town. My flight got delayed for like over a half a day. So when I came home, my crop was messed up. So I lost that crop. And after that, I was just like, man, I'm it just my spirit was killed, man. So it just wasn't gonna work. And then another thing I was trying to talk the restaurant into was because I have a big inventory, and I still have a large inventory of dry mushrooms because I was never able to sell my fresh mushrooms. So I either end up having to give it away, and after giving away, you know, so many pounds of mushrooms, I was just like, man, I just need to dry these things and try to sell them at a later date. And I realized none of the restaurants, none of the chefs seem to be interested in dry mushrooms, which for me it's hard to understand because it's like dry mushrooms have a much longer shelf life. In my opinion, dry mushrooms, when they're rehydrated, they taste much better. I love the texture more than I do fresh mushrooms. So that's my take. So not only would you not have to keep them refrigerated, which keeps your energy costs down, you don't have to worry about them going bad in 3 to 5 days. And then to me, and you can't really add this because it's just subjective to me, but I think the taste is much better. But you know, that one restaurant, I told them, like, man, I got pounds of dried pink oyster mushrooms. If you'd be interested in just even taking a sample of them just to try them. No, I'm not interested. I only want fresh mushrooms. I only want this. I only want that. And after I lost the crop, I was just like, well, man, you know, if people are not going to be understanding or trying to try something else, why should I be understanding and lose money when my flight's delayed? Now I gotta try to get all this crop back, and no, it's not worth it. You know what I mean? I just don't think it. I realize people want things their way, and that's fine. But to me, at least be open to trying something. You don't even have to like it. And then with all the other chefs I've given samples to, that was another thing I noticed. I give all these samples out to all these people, and no one ever gets back to me. I've given samples to multiple restaurants, multiple chefs, and they never get back to me. And it's just like, okay, great. But guess what? I cannot come to your restaurant, ask for a sample, and hey, can I come in your restaurant and get a sample and not get back to you? So I just think that's a kind of unrealistic expectation in my mind. So at that point, after losing all that money, not people following through, I was like not even willing to give people samples, because it's just like, what do I get out of giving a person a sample when I cannot come to their establishment and get a sample of anything? You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's a kind of an unrealistic expectation to a certain extent. You know what I mean? If people will at least get back to you and say, hey, I like this. Hey, I didn't like this. Hey, this was okay, but do you have something else? But I never got that from anybody. So then I was at the farmer's market, like I said, for about 2 months. It was $20 to be at the farmer's market, and on a good day, I was grossing about $60. You know, so the net was $40 after you pay the $20 to be there. Some days I would only break even, and then you're not including my time to sit there for 30 minutes and to drive back and forth 30 minutes. So I had to stop doing the farmer's market about 2 weeks ago because it's just really not worth the time. I can just go work, do regular work, and actually make a profit versus sitting out there all day and not making a profit, you know. So the farmer's market, that farmer's market was not working for me. The other farmer's market where the lady faked on me was a way higher volume farmer's market, so I probably would have had a little more success there. Plus she would have also going to keep she was also open every day and had refrigerators where she could keep the mushrooms there all throughout the week, and you could come on Saturday and sell your mushrooms. So at the end of the day, it's been rough, but I think there's some psychological barriers, and I want to see if I can talk to more chefs, because I just don't understand why more chefs and more restaurants, especially these restaurants that sell. I was in California when those mushrooms went bad, and they have a lot of vegan places, and I went to this one place, and they were selling this one vegan meat thing, and I got a Philly just to try it, and I wasn't really impressed with the taste. Then I went online and realized it was all a soy product that they refrigerate, and so I emailed them just to say, hey, why don't you guys consider doing mushrooms, especially dry mushrooms, because it would have much more nutrients. You would have a much less energy cost keeping a product in a freezer, and soy is really not the best thing for you. But I just don't understand. There's a thing I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm not really big on the whole vegan thing. I don't really subscribe to that. I just subscribe to you eat what agrees with your body. And because the vegan thing really to me it's not about being healthy. It's really just a fad. I think sometimes and this is not everybody, but sometimes I feel like it's a fad for people that eat meat to feel guilty about eating meat. So they eat something that's actually, to me, worse than eating meat, so they can feel good about the environment or something. And these are just my personal opinions. So please, don't come after me. But I just feel like, if you really want to eat something nutritious, there's a big difference between eating something plant-based or vegan and eating something nutritious. Just because you are vegan does not mean you are eating healthy. People get that messed up, and I am not here to tell people not to eat meat. I think people should eat meat. That I just don't eat meat. So, I'm not into this shaming people for eating what they're eating. So, it's just a lot of learning process. It's a big psychological thing, and I'm still trying to learn it. I haven't completely given up on mushrooms, but I have taken a drastic break because I filed bankruptcy once in 2019, so I'm not going to run a business that's not making money. I'm not with that. I can focus all my energy on my money-making business and just do that. So it's just, I want you to hopefully take a couple things out of this. If you're interested in starting a mushroom business or already have a mushroom business, I think one of my biggest mistakes was investing too much money in the business up front without getting a return on it. But I was motivated by other people thinking, the sales will be bigger than what it was, and people saying that they're interested in this, and I know people that are interested. I got buyers and all that, and it never really came to fruition. And I'm not blaming anybody. It's just, it's just sometimes it's hard to gauge things, especially when you're in a new business that's completely different from the business that I've been in for the last 10 years. I'm a contractor, so it's much different than that. So, hey man, I wish you all the success in your mushroom business if you're starting one. And hopefully you can learn from this video about a couple mistakes I made being in this business, and hopefully it could help you. And I think the biggest thing is really understanding the real demand in your local area for fresh mushrooms and dried mushrooms. Because like I said, if you cannot get those fresh mushrooms off, you're going to have to dehydrate them. And to me, how can you make money on the back end? Because I got $1,000 of dry mushrooms just sitting in my house with no buyers as of right now. So, hey man, God bless you. I appreciate you tapping in, tuning in. And if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them. I'm not really a big comment guy, but on this video, I definitely would like to get comments, especially from chefs or people that work in restaurants, just to understand why is there not a bigger demand for dried mushrooms in restaurants, when to me economically and storage shelf life wise, to me it would be, in my mind, the best option. But I don't work at a restaurant, so obviously there's something I'm missing that hopefully I can get a grasp to. So East Alabama Mushrooms, take care of yourself. Thank you. Peace.